Hey, what's going on, guys? So before we get started on today's video, it's a little different intro. I just want to thank everybody for sharing and subscribing to the channel. And our first week's winner of our sauce is Vanessa Mendez. Now, if you guys want a chance to win a bottle of sauce like this, just go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share it. That's how you automatically enter. The more shares, the more entries you get. Alright guys, let's get to the video today. Alright guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to make some homemade bread. Now, we're going to start off with some milk, a little warmer than room temperature, about 90 degrees or so. And you're going to throw some sugar in it. What that's going to do is going to act as food for the yeast. Now, I'll get the exact measurements and everything in the description below for you guys. So, I'm going to go ahead and throw some sugar in. Only reason I'm not saying the amounts I'm putting in right now is because I did make a double batch. And I'm going to throw the yeast in. Now, when you throw the yeast in, it's active dry. I don't really like to use instant yeast. This does two things. It makes sure the yeast is still alive, and then it kind of gives it a kickstart. So once you mix it in with the bread, it's going to pretty much ferment a little faster. Now, what you're going to want to do is, if you're using the packets of active dry yeast, kind of spread them apart like that, because it has a tendency to use static electricity and kind of stick to the sides. But keep whisking and pour the yeast in. Once you get it nice and mixed in there, it doesn't clump up, you can go ahead and take the whisk out and just set that to the side for about like 5 or 10 minutes, and you should see it start to foam up at the top. When it foams up at the top, you know, okay, the yeast is alive, it's ready to go, it's eating off that sugar. If it doesn't foam up, you got to get some new yeast. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is make the base. This is a little sticky. What it pretty much is, it's flour, water, and milk. So the formula to this is 1 part flour, 1 part water, 2 parts milk. And what you're going to do is you're going to mix it pretty well and then heat it over a medium flame until it gets pretty thick. You'll see in a second, it looks kind of like a really thick pancake batter, and it'll stick to the sides. It's really tough to, it's tough to deal with every now and then, but this makes all the difference. This will make your bread really chewy and really like bounce back at you. This is how you don't get dry bread. This is how you get that really nice milky consistency. And so we're actually doing, since I said I'm doing a double batch, I'm going to end up doing a loaf of bread, and I'm going to do a few dinner rolls just to show you guys the difference. And after you get this going, you see right here, it looks really pale like paint, and then once you heat it for about like a minute or so, it gets like this. Just keep whisking and whatnot, it will get like that. Now to the actual bread. So in the stand mixer, go ahead and add your flour. You're going to add your mixture with the yeast and the milk and the sugar. After you add that, you're just going to kind of look at the dough, make sure it's not overly wet, overly dry. After you guys make this a few times, you kind of get a feel for it. But like I said, the measurements will be in the description below. Follow that down to the T. What you're also going to want to do is you're going to crack in either 1 or 2 eggs, depending on how much you're making. And then the very last thing, which is going to be the toughest to do, is take that little pasty mixture I showed you guys how to make earlier. You're going to take that, put it in the mixer. It's going to stick to your spatula or your spoon, whatever you're using. So it's going to take a little work to get it out of the pan in there. Usually what I do is take a wooden spoon and just scrape it off the sides, just get as much as I can in there, and dump it right into the stand mixer. Now, once you have all that together, you're just going to go ahead and close it up, start mixing it, and you're going to mix it until it makes a really smooth, supple dough. So I'm going to speed this up for you because it takes a few minutes. Now, go ahead and pull the dough off. You're not going to need any additional flour. This dough is sticky as it is, but it's not going to stick to your work surface and whatnot. Just go ahead and clean your bowl out, lightly oil it, get the oil all around the sides, plop the dough back in there, and you're going to cover it with saran wrap. Make sure it's nice and tight. That keeps moisture on the bread dough, and if the bread dough is nice and moist, it's going to rise well, and about an hour later, it doubled in size. You see that? Just go ahead and punch it down, and you're just going to knead it for a little bit, not too long, just punch it down. knock the air out, and flip it over on a board. This is where you're going to want to start your shaping. So I'm going to actually cut this dough in half. Once I cut the dough in half, I'm going to take half of it, that's going to be the loaf, it's going to go into the loaf pan. The other half I'm going to roll into biscuits, and the way you roll it, just grab a knob of it, twist it up into like a ball. After you twist it to a ball, just kind of use one hand in a circular motion and push the dough through that hand with your fingers in the other hand. It's going to make a nice taut ball. You'll see me do that right here. See, I just like get back and forth with the hands, and then they don't all need to be the same size. You'll see once I take that out, after it rises again for about another hour, it's going to be nice sized biscuits. Now, with the egg wash, it's simple. It's just one egg, splash of milk, whisk it up really well. Once it's whisked in really well, you want it to look like a base for scrambled eggs, pretty much. So pretty much just like this, and then you're going to go ahead and take it off. You see I let it rise again for another hour. I should have gone a little less because it has a big huge mushroom top on it. And same with the rolls. The rolls are pretty, you see how they grew. They're not really tiny rolls like they were a second ago. Now what you're going to want to do is bake them at 325 degrees. Depending on how much you're baking, like the times vary. I'll put that in the description as well. But once it comes out, this is it. If you guys are not sure what you can do with the loaf of bread, it can be kind of intimidating. Think, oh, am I taking out too soon? Is it too late? Use your meat thermometer. If your bread gets up to 140 degrees, it's typically done. But then also, when you stick it in, look when I pull it out, it comes out clean. If it comes out clean, it's at the 140 degrees right there. It'll come out nice and clean, and there's nothing sticking to it. That's a sign that it's done. Now, do not cut into that bread right away. It needs to set. If you don't let it set, it loses texture, loses moisture. And here's some of the rolls, and you can see I'm burning my hands on these just to get you guys to see the steam coming out. But nice soft buns. I'm gonna go enjoy these with some family and